Hey, Fractal fans, it's AustinBuddy, and we have a new AustinBuddy TonePack show for you today, and it's a fantastic one. We're going to cover the Brit Rock Royalty TonePack that I've just updated, and I've got the man himself, Mr. Cooper Carter, who's played a whole bunch of these things, and we're going to nerd out about Jimmy Page and Led Zeppelin, and it's going to be great. So let's get after it. Hey, there he is.
What's up? What's up?
The man, the
How
myth,
are
the
you?
legend. I'm good, Cooper.
Good to see you.
Thanks. Good to see you
We
too,
got our
man.
rocking our tandem Led Zepp shirts here.
Oh yeah, 1977. Can brag. I actually saw
Yeah.
them in 1977.
Yeah, I was primordial
I was gonna,
at that point.
trust me, I understand, but it was like the greatest concert still, probably of my life at the LSU Assembly Center in Baton Rouge, and Presence had
Yeah,
come
in
out,
fact,
and they were doing physical graffiti in Presence, and it was just insane. Greatest thing
I
ever.
think my parents had met at that point in 77. Yeah, they'd met.
Yeah, you.
Uh,
I see your
yeah,
shirt's a cool
this
one as
is
well.
this is my dad's. This is I believe 71 or 2. I probably shouldn't be wearing it. The one in the video too is original 1977 tour. I really shouldn't be wearing that one either, especially after like 12 hours of tracking all these tunes. It was sweaty. I was like, shit, I'm gonna have to go get this washed and like frame it and never touch it again.
That's awesome.
It's a real vintage shirt, yeah.
So I think everybody who's watching knows who you are more than they know me, which is awesome.
Maybe.
You
In
know,
this very small group, probably,
you
yes.
know, you've been
Fractal nerds.
you and I've been with Fractal for 15 plus years. I've been a beta
Yeah.
tester. We've really gotten to know each other and work together. You have been prolific in producing very, very incredible, useful content. You're doing Fractal Fridays now for G66. You have your master class, which I learned a lot from. And
I don't believe that for a second.
oh no, it's true. I did learn a lot from it. You know, it's
All right.
the thing about that box, as we know, is every day you can learn something new. It's
No, it's true. Yeah.
I think the Steve Vai quote about it's Christmas every day
Yeah.
really makes sense with that box because every day there's some cool thing.
Yeah,
But
it's
you
true.
also did the very first Naked Amps demo for the Axe FX 3, the 1400 plus, and it was amazing because you did like 250 plus sounds. And I
Yeah.
still get people writing me about that. Where was that sound in this? And but
Yeah.
relevant to this conversation, you also did the first Brit Rock demo when this was on literally firmware 5. That's how old that was.
God, was it 5
Yeah,
really?
yeah, and it sounded pretty good
Man.
then, but now we're on 31 and we've got
Yeah.
a Supro amp. We've got an
Right.
1176 and
Well, what a testament to the XFX3 too, that we're
yeah,
on the same unit now,
yeah.
25 firmwares later.
It's amazing to me. It is, this was a project labor of love for me, and I had a lot of help. I got the book out and went into the religious thing. Not everything you read on the internet is true, folks. By the way, about what's what,
No.
but not just that one. I got the Tell Us What You Did, Jimmy. That book too. And so I had a lot of
That book
information,
is amazing.
but I also had these ATC speakers which are the best mixing speakers I've ever had. And they were recommended to me by the one and only legendary Eddie Kramer. And I was able
Yeah,
to do
that's a hell of a recommendation. Yeah.
and I was able to do some mixing classes with him where I learned a lot about how he did what he did and how he captured these performances and applied a lot of that into what I then when I updated this because I really did overhaul the pack a pretty good bit.
Yeah, I mean it's the first one sounded great, and I mean, it's not the kind of thing where like it sounds bad by comparison. It's just the amount of options that you were doing, I think, more trickery in the first one to kind of get to where you needed to
Yeah.
go because some of the stuff wasn't there. And now we have actual models of those things, and there was a lot of kind of costume changing is what I sometimes call it. Yeah, I mean, back earlier on in firmware, as we were doing some weird stuff to emulate certain things that weren't around, and now they are. I mean, the user IR, the room IR that you have in the pack,
Yeah.
it that there's so much time spent in any studio environment. Even now, when everything's in the box, and like when you listen to the best of the best and how people are still recording, room mics are just the icing on the cake. The most surprising thing about every guitar tone that I show people is how roomy a lot of them are on records. And Jimmy Page was really a pioneer of bringing that into a more modern era, because before it kind of been it's how you recorded, because you only had one mic for the whole band or maybe two mics, so you were getting room naturally. And then Page was really at the forefront of saying, okay, we have multi-track recording now, but the room is still so much a part of what this is. And that room IR is badass. It makes so
Yeah.
many of these tones.
Something about the vintageness of that tone that worked. And you find when you do these things that the amps are not as gainy as you think they are. When you listen to
They're
record,
never as
a
gainy,
lot of
no.
people listen to the sounds and they'll listen to some of these, maybe go, man, there was a lot more gain. No, go back. You and I have like, we've got track.
Yeah.
Go back and listen to it. And I heard this
Well,
from a
it's not just people who it's me too. Like it's in my mind
yeah.
when when I listen back, my memory of hearing a whole lot of love for the first time, when my dad and we stopped, we got a cassette of Led Zeppelin 2 and we put it on. And in my mind, when a whole lot of love kicks in, it's and then you hear the album, it's like down and now now and now. It's
Yeah.
much lower gain than
Yeah.
you think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it ain't a
But
Marshall.
it's the no, well,
It's a
it's I
Vox
mean,
amp with yeah, yeah.
I'm sure we'll get into that too. I mean, there's the whole I think so many people they think Jimmy Page Marshall cranked up on stage and they've got the kind of 77 live sensor. I mean, really most eras
Yeah,
live, but
yeah,
he was so much a pioneer of small amps, big sound, which has become such a staple of so many recording techniques and so many different people's schools of thought. But
yeah.
like the Supro is really kind of the quote secret behind the Marshall. But then even more than that, and this is something you were so keyed into on these presets, if you get this Brit royalty pack, you might be surprised. Like the Black Dog, no amp.
That's right.
The real secret behind Jimmy Page's tone is dual 1176s in series, straight into the board, no amp at all.
That's
And
right.
that's one of the biggest rock tones of all time. I mean, is there a more
What
classic rock song?
why don't we play that real quick and then come back to it? How does that sound right here?
Run it.
Let's check it out.
Hey, hey, mama said the way you move gonna make you sweat, gonna make you groove.
Let's talk about that tone because everybody, like you were just saying, everybody thinks, oh, it's guitar. It's not. He's on his Les Paul. He's on
Yeah.
his bridge pickup. It's wide open.
Yep.
And he's going into a cascading set of two 1176 amplifiers, one of which is cranked to the max, which is getting the gritty preamp kind of distortion in it. And then the other is giving that sustain and leveling it off. And then there's still some board stuff after that. And it's
Right.
also triple tracked,
Right.
right?
Well, that's yeah. I mean, I only did one track, but you've got the enhancer kind of doing the stereo thing and the
Yeah. But and again, for people who are watching this, the first four albums are studio tones that are
yeah.
in the pack. And there are some songs from those albums in the live section, not all of them. But in the live section, I go into the later albums, but I just do live versions of them because it's what my guys and I play here in my studio. And some of you
Yeah.
have seen that video. There's a YouTube video of me doing a 10.5 minute medley of those things.
It's pretty amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, but I try and use the effects and things that were in the original studio recordings, but I'm trying to do it in a live context. Mainly because if I had tried to exactly do those like I did the first four, we wouldn't be able to do this video for another year or two. Because now you're
Exactly.
now you're getting to things like presence with 10 guitars lined up, and it's like
Yeah.
I don't even
It
I
becomes
can't.
a whole different thing. If you play these along, go on YouTube, guys.
This is the trick.
Go there is and if you have Moises, the AI stem separation app, go on YouTube and search. Somebody's probably already done it. If you play along with the record, Buddy has got these so dialed that you will mistake your own playing after a while for the record, and I caught myself like hearing playing along and stopping playing. Like, did I forget to turn off the guitar? And realizing the guitar was already gone. It's just that good. The panning, the EQ, the reverbs, the way that they sit, it is literally like playing along with the record through whatever Jimmy Page was using with this. I mean, it sounds, these are the closest of it. It sounds like I'm being, hyperbolic, but these are the closest set of presets to like a studio album recreation tone that I've ever used. And,
I appreciate that.
my work scenarios almost always are taking studio sounds and then conforming them or
The
changing
other
them
way.
to go to the live environment. I do some studio stuff, but as you know, the vast majority of my day to day is for touring. So it's so cool to hear somebody dig into sounds and copy them and then copy them to sound exactly the same with the record when you're playing along. Because what a gift to people who that is what they want to do. They want to, be at home playing along with Led Zeppelin tracks, which make no mistake, that is me as well. So
Me
it's
too.
hugely rewarding. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
it's
great.
like I do this stuff in a weird way for me, if I like it, and then hopefully other people will, and they usually do. But what you
Right.
just said is it's so much harder. It's easier for me to like do a live gold or naked amps where I'm going to go make an amp sound good.
Yeah.
That's easy.
Yeah.
It's for me now.
Yeah.
I've been doing it 15 years. But then it's
You've
like
got a lot of
then
experience.
you go the other direction. It's like, all right, now you got to nail this tone coming out. And that's why I've got these great monitors. And you've got to use every tool in the Fractal, and the Fractal can let you do it. That's the key thing.
Well, that's the
If you
thing
know
too,
what
is
you're
you
doing,
could,
the Fractal, you
yeah.
literally can process, create the single chain, do the EQ right. And so that was
Yep.
what was really exciting for me. But I'll also tell you, it was a hell of a lot of work and not easy to
It
do.
shows.
You
It
know,
shows.
it
There's a
was
lot
a
of presets and there's a lot of detail. It's so interesting too when you think about Led Zeppelin's career and the way it progressed, and especially if you look at the Beatles kind of in tandem with them as being, somewhat contemporaries. Uh, Led Zeppelin obviously was like the definitive. To me, they're the greatest live band of all time.
The greatest rock and roll band of all time.
Unlike the Beatles, Floyd and Zeppelin were also performing their work in their later career
yeah.
as they were able to do more in the studio, as their studio techniques and just technology in general, as that, as the higher quality stuff proliferated and as their skill set increased. I mean, Jimmy Page was just an absolute master producer by the end of their career. I mean, he was a damn good producer at the beginning, but by the end of it, you had this stuff, and then they were completely changing it live because,
Yeah.
unlike Pink Floyd, they weren't bringing out a 13-piece band. They were still just doing it. And so they were performing songs, like Achilles' Last Stand, In My Time of Dying, like all these songs that have got massive soundscapes. And
Yeah.
then they're pulling it off live, but then my definitive version of most of those songs is the live version. Like to me, I don't listen to the record version of Achilles'
Interesting.
Last Stand. I like the
Interesting.
How the West Was Won version, which actually was never even released on CD. It's just in the movie. So I ripped it off the DVD when I was a kid, and I've got it on my iTunes still because
Wow.
that's how old I am, kids. Uh,
Hey, well, let's listen to Kashmir because that's a great example of this.
yep,
This
another
is
great example.
this
Yeah,
is not exactly how it sounds on the album, but
right.
live they were using that eventide phaser and
Exactly.
some of the echo and stuff. So let's check that out for a little bit.
Would let the sun beat down on my face all
It's the coolest song ever.
It's way up there.
But that's a classic case where particularly if you're in a band that doesn't have strings and you want to play this, that
Yeah,
preset will fill your sound out where you can actually
it's
pull it
huge. Yeah,
off. And I
yeah,
like that you put the 12 string in it. When I do it, I did the 12 string in the open DAD-GAD tuning because
yep,
it just sounded fatter, even though he was just using the Dano with the 6 string. So,
Yeah.
but that's a good example of, how
I've got the
things
12
evolve.
sitting right
Yeah.
here. Yeah, I have it. I think it probably is still in DADGAD. I haven't touched it since last month when I was doing that, so
Yeah.
it's probably still in DADGAD.
Yeah.
It's and it'll probably stay that way given that it's 12 strings. I will not retune it for a while, which will be a nice little DADGAD exploration here.
This guy, we talked about room sound, and if you go listen to the first Hendrix album, you can hear the room sound in it, like in all the tapes. But this guy really took it to another level. They were panning the room sounds. They were doing that.
Yeah.
Another really good example of that one is Out on the Tiles, for example. That that
Yeah.
that sound is literally almost bathtub reverb.
Though that's the whole signature of it. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah,
It's the kind of thing where you think you have an idea of what it needs to be, and then you go really listen to it, and you're realizing that what you thought was something done on maybe another track or it's a mastering pass is the guitar tone itself.
yeah, yeah. And that's clearly one where he sat there and then they came in the board and they said, "Let's route one over here. Let's route one over there.
Right,
Let's do this
exactly.
here. Let's do that there." And that sounds pretty cool. We'll play a little bit of
Yeah.
that.
As I walk down the highway, all I do is sing this song. And the train that's passing my way helps the rhythm move along. There is no doubt about the words appear. Boy, it's strong, it's all so strong. Just a simple guy and a different day to day. A real sunshine melts my frown, blows my blues away. There's nothing more that I can say, but on a day like today, it pass the time away. I walk a quiet mile with you. All I need from you is all you gotta give to me is
My favorite
Great track.
My favorite version of that, and I'm a big fan of this album overall, is Jimmy Page and the Black Crowes live at the Greek.
That album is phenomenal.
It is
I'm sure you saw the interview with Page and Chris Robson like the
I did.
last month or a couple months ago.
When I first came out, I wasn't aware of it back in 2000.
Oh, interesting.
And then around 2008, I discovered it, and I said, I got to start a band.
Yeah.
And I did.
That album came out right when I got I was a Led Zeppelin fan from an early age just because my dad was such a huge fan. But that album came out right when Led Zeppelin was hitting me right in the face. Like my Bible teacher at school accused me of worshiping Satan because I drew Zoso on the board, and I was carrying a Discman. Again, kids, you can look it up. I was carrying a Discman around with Led Zeppelin in it. But that album came out, and it just was like all of those songs with modern recording.
Oh man!
I mean, it was the best thing until Page remastered everything, and How the West Was Won came out, which was obviously just like epic, and the DVD came out, and it was
Right.
I think that DVD quite literally changed my life. I played that version of Days Confused at the high school talent show, like really pushed the boundaries of the time constraint, what was appropriate to be on stage for with the bow solo and everything. It was like that. That was a big one for me.
You were living the dream, man.
Some kind of dream. But that Black Crowes album's killer, man. They absolutely. You can just tell that they really, really understand his music, and it was so cool seeing that he saw that they really understood. That's the only reason he did it.
Oddly Freed is one of my heroes. He and Chris and Rich, when you do
Yeah.
Led Zeppelin like that, where
Rich
you've
is
got
awesome,
the three
yeah.
guitars and you can do the harmonies, and
Yeah.
you can do that, and then do the other cool things where one of them will play the note, but one of them's bending into it, so you get that little tension.
Yeah.
So, like in all these presets, as you saw, there's this like code. Because I had to tell you, which pickup to use, bridge, neck, the middle, and then also
The level knob and
where's
tone
the
knob
volume? Because he was a
Yeah.
master of that, right?
Yeah.
He loved
Yeah.
that middle position with like the neck on about 7 and the bridge wide open. But he was always moving that stuff around. Yeah.
There's that obnoxious critique of Jimmy Page that I could just never get on board with, which is that he's sloppy, and it's I call it unbridled and like unrestrained.
Yes.
And because it's
He's
the
going
irony
for
of calling He's totally going
He's
for
going
it.
for it.
And the irony of calling somebody sloppy who literally pioneered precision modern rock recording techniques
Yeah.
is just so insane to me. Um, but when people, I think mainly people say that his solo playing is sloppy because they can't cop the solos, because the solos are hard to cop because they're not linear and they don't
Yeah.
ascribe to they're hard to tab, like when you hear them, like if you can play the middle lead break from Dazed and Confused note for note, or like the Heartbreaker solo note for note, you have really studied Jimmy Page, because they're not solos that you can hear. Like, there are different players who are equally as brilliant, but their solos are, quote, easier to get
Yeah.
because they're a little bit more straightforward. And Page was all over the place on purpose. But yeah, I've always that, critique has always kind of annoyed me when they say he's sloppy. It's like that was 100% intentional. That man could play as cleanly as he wanted to, and he did. For example, on every session song in London for the 10 years before that. We were just talking about this documentary,
Yeah.
and the lovely little fact that on the theme from Goldfinger, you've got Misters Jimmy Page and John Paul Jones on guitar and bass.
Yeah. Yeah.
One of the best.
That really
Yeah, it's
lands. That
awesome.
really lands with me because technical guys. I get it. I mean, I admire the hell out of these guys. Like
Yeah.
Guthrie and people like that. They literally had the most. But they can play with. What these guys did though is they always went for it and they played with the motion. That just always lands better for me, even if it's not exactly right. There was a saying though that I loved that said the reason Led Zeppelin sounds so damn good is because Jimmy Page plays it slightly ahead of the beat and John Bonham plays slightly behind the beat, and John Paul Jones plays right
Is
on the
right
beat.
on it.
And when you
Absolutely.
blend that, there's this magic, because
Have you ever heard
he's
that?
pushing it, he's pushing the band. So
They were perfect. I maintain they're still. I mean, they're my favorite band of all time. I think they're the greatest live band of all time, in my mind, kind of unquestionably.
let's show a little bit of some of the diversity in the pack by playing
Yeah,
by
let's do
playing
it.
Friends. So this is a preset that I did
Yeah.
literally on a Telecaster to emulate an acoustic, but you grabbed an acoustic using the same preset. Apparently,
Oh,
and
I used the
how'd you
the
do
design for acoustic
the
one.
the
There's the second one.
that's why
Yeah,
I
yeah,
was
yeah.
asking. So I wanted to know what it
Yeah.
was, but because it sounds just like the album. And then you
Yeah,
did
it's the acoustic one, yeah.
and then you did a little something interesting at the end there using another scene that was in
Yeah,
there.
we'll let this be a surprise.
Here we go, folks. Pretty
I
good.
mean, you want to show the power of the Axe right there. That's pretty extreme. The difference between those two sounds is about as different as you can get.
So you used that acoustic preset that I dialed in that you can use a real acoustic guitar with to do that.
Correct.
Cool.
Yeah,
I
that's
didn't
what I
know. We
used,
haven't
yeah.
talked about it. So
Yeah.
and that's what it's there for. It's got a bunch of options on it and things like that. So-
Well, and harkening back to Brit Royalty #1, when I did Babe, I'm Gonna Leave You, I used a electric guitar with the acoustic simulator, and it sounded fantastic. A lot of people said, "Oh, do you have a piezo in that guitar?" I said, "No, I don't. That's actually just Buddy's." I mean, it's a combination of compressors and very granular graphic EQ.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the technology's there. It sounds fucking great.
Yeah, just so everybody knows, this is the guitar that I did the acoustic emulation sounds on, mainly using the neck pickup, and I just sort of turned the volume down just a hair to 9, which cuts a little bit of the highs, and then I can roll the tone off to what I need it to be, and it gives you a pretty close approximation,
Yeah,
You
it's
know?
great,
Sure.
man. In a mix, a lot of these things that we do, uh, to emulate different sounds in the box, they just totally sell in a mix. I mean, I think, and there's so many examples of that. The 12 string emulation, without a hex pickup is always going to be imperfect because it doesn't know, the Axe no processor knows that the two strings up top don't need to be doubled.
Yep.
But you would be very surprised the number of very large bands that are using 12 string emulations on the road. That's just the pitch block, and with it up 12 semitones, and in a mix, it sounds great.
It worked perfectly on Loving Maid, and I got it in
Yeah.
stereo, and it worked great. You guys may not have seen Cooper play blues before, but he's going to do a little Since I've Been Loving You, and then we'll pick it up on the other side because this is such an epic tune, and
Dynamics.
I mean, I really, when I played the Les Paul on this and dialed it correctly and all that, I was stunned at how much it sounded exactly like what was coming out of the album speakers. It really
Yeah, mine's a
blew my
mine's a
mind.
little different. I'm not playing it on a Paul, but it's
Yeah.
but yeah,
Yeah, but while I've got it, I've got
there we go.
I've got throwbacks in this. It's a 1960 reissue Les Paul. It's actually modeled after the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band's 1960 Gibson thing. But these throwbacks changed the world for me. They're SLE 101s, MXV or whatever. And I love them, and I put them in everything. They are the Jimmy Page pickup to my ears. I mean, Jimmy Page attacked his guitar differently than the way Eddie Van Halen attacked his guitar, and Jimi Hendrix attacked their guitar, and
Yeah.
so it really, there is a lot, and Jeff Beck in particular always
Right,
up
even
from
within the
pit.
Yardbirds, we've got enough. Yeah, between Clapton and Beck and Page, you've got about as different an approach to guitar as you could possibly hope to have in that era, at least.
Well, let's hear you do a little bit of this Since I've Been Loving You, and I'll catch you on the other side of this. This was fun. Using greenback. I know that Page used blackbacks, but I think I got it out of the greenbacks that I did use. Blackbacks are former greenbacks, the different type, but I think it sounds pretty right on for what he did for most of this stuff. And most of those amps that he used is Supro. There was the Vox for Whole Lotta Love, and supposedly he used a high watt on some stuff. But
run Immigrant Song for a little bit of that kind of small amp, big sound vibe, and then you nailed the tremolo on that too.
So the tremolo, because I knew the beats per minute, is synchronized.
Yeah.
So if your band plays it faster, that'll be too slow. You got to have to tap tempo that thing.
Which they did not have the luxury of back in what, 70?
The
Yeah.
the other thing I think that's key in doing that one, and some of the others, particularly on the first couple albums, they really used that EMT 140 plate reverb, and it
Yeah.
really is beautiful, and it washes out, and it gives it that spaciousness, and
Yep.
you can hear it pretty great on that clip. Even though the thing is in your face, you hear the behind it, the wash it's making. And
Yep.
if you listen to Dazed and Confused and some of these things, one of the tricks they did on some of those things is they actually put an 1176 compressor after reverb, which really
Interesting.
makes it blow up in a very interesting
Yeah.
way. All those crazy violin sounds you were hearing on all that, go back and if you look at the Dazed and Confused presets, you'll see what it's
Yeah.
doing when it kicks in. It's like, everything kind of blooms out at you. So that was another studio trick that they did. You have a theremin in here, but
Yeah, there's a great there. I didn't do anything with that. I should have done a
it's all right.
theremin
I,
thing.
I,
Maybe
I
I'll,
I did it on my video. People want to go see a demo of the theremin and some of the harmony
it's
stuff.
pretty fun.
Yeah,
It
it's
was great.
real fun to play with. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I had it cranked up pretty loud, and my wife wondered what the hell was going on in here, which is the
Blowing up
goal
in
when
there.
you're playing. Yeah, when you're playing a theremin,
Yeah.
people should be wondering what the hell's going on.
Making my hand motions like it's in front of me, like he did. The woo, 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 woo,
Get one of those MIDI rings, the ring that controls MIDI, and then attach to the LFO and
we're going to talk offline about that.
Dazed and Confused is one of my I think it's my desert, desert island. People always say when they mean deserted island, but if I had to listen to one song, Colbert does that questionnaire, you don't have to listen to it all the time, but when you listen to music, it's only that song for the rest of your life. Dazed and Confused is definitely on the short list of ones that I would consider for
Wow,
that.
wow.
It would be tough for me to get tired of that one, and I've probably listened to it
All right, give me
thousands of times.
Give me 3 other Led Zeppelin songs that could be on that list.
Oh man. I mean, so Dazed and Confused specifically from Live at Royal Albert Hall.
Okay.
That would be on there for sure. Achilles' Last Stand live from Nebworth, 100%. And probably, oh man, there's just so many good songs. How Many More Times off the studio version of How Many More Times. I think I could probably do those 3 forever. But you said another 3, so in addition to Dazed and Confused, I'm gonna take you know what? Honestly, people come at me, but I am militantly against. I do not believe that it is right to hold a song's fame and proliferation and overplayedness against it. I'm
Agreed.
going with Stairway. I'm going with Stairway. I fucking listen to Stairway every day for the rest of my life. I don't care.
It's
And
legit.
it's like when people say, I can't stand Bohemian Rhapsody, man. It's so overplayed. I'm like, that's because
No,
it's that good.
yeah.
It might be the greatest song of all time. I'm
It's
going
it's
with
what you
Stairway
said
for
earlier
sure.
about the Rick Rubin thing about the things that people do and then they get it. Yeah, but that's what makes it so
That's
effing.
what makes, yeah.
Yeah. I'm with you on that. In
Well, and I should say too,
2026.
bassists, fear not, like I'm sure mostly guitarists are watching this, but there are some great sounding John Paul Jones bass sounds in
Yeah.
here as well.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, you
And-
can't ask for better bass sound than that.
Yeah, they're also taken from the 200 plus bass tone pack too. I took literally that preset
Exactly.
and gave it to everybody. And if you're going to play Zeppelin, you might as well have all the goods, as I figured. So,
Yep.
So, but those were things that he did again, and just my stunning admiration for the guy. I love the
Yes,
phaser sound,
unbelievable.
and I struggled with the phaser sound for a while because the preset.
You nailed it on Nobody's Fault
Well, that's phaser and a flanger in it.
and the flange, yeah.
Yeah, and some of the echoes, but the key is that I had to turn the mix down on the phaser, and that made it work and gave me more what was the Eventide phaser, the rack mount they were using at the time.
Yep.
I know he used pedals later, and they would make it a little faster, but I like what this does, and I'm using it that way
Yeah.
all the time. It made a huge difference. We haven't done Nobody's Fault, I don't think, the full thing.
No, just at the beginning, a little tease.
Yeah, let's do a little bit more of that.
Yeah, you nailed that one.
go to the scenes and you got this flanger thing, so you get the. So this is the thing also that people don't do right. I just dropped my pick, hilarious. Cause, so they go. But listen to this. Go. I saw Charlie Starr do that at Blackberry Smoke live, and I was like, that's not the way I've been playing it all these years. And
That's cool.
it is very cool, and I'm sharing it with the world now because it took me a long time to figure out what was going on there. But you can hear that one. But it's not.
Yeah, see, I love that. It's not in your face. It's not a jet
Exactly.
flanger. It's
Yeah, and then
It's
of
just that
course
subtle.
after that it's going left to right, it's panning, and again in the studio version I try and replicate all that stuff. You can pan stuff with pedals as it's going, and it's pretty cool.
That was one of my favorite things in Brit Royalty 1 was on How Many More Times the panning could be done with the pedal. Yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Beginning of Dazed and Confused, the wah can go from side to side. So I love that. I love that kind of stuff that they did so creatively. And one of the things when I got a little bit of time with Eddie Kramer in the mix sessions, I mean, he literally talked about.
What a privilege. That's amazing.
Oh boy, I'll tell you, and he's a terrific guy. And the guy still has it. He still loves what he does. He still dances at the console. I'm not kidding you. He's tracking a band.
I love it.
He's literally dancing at the console. But what he taught me more than anything was his job is to get a sound live great when they're tracking to begin with. And he'll print on the way in certain things.
Yeah.
EQ.
Yeah.
He's not one of these guys that records all dry and will just add all the sugar later. He's trying to make it sound killer right then. And
it's ballsy. He's got a lot of experience though.
But he's got, and I set all my
I don't
stuff.
have the courage for that. I'm a dry as a bone in, and
Well, I think what he's trying to do is get them inspired in what they're hearing in their headphones as well when they're playing.
Yeah.
But the other thing he taught me is leave the bloody mistakes in. That's a direct quote. Leave the bloody mistakes in. And
there's so much truth to that, man.
Because think about the things we're listening to Zeppelin albums, and you hear the airplane flying around, goes not eating it, man, and all that. And it's like we love hearing that stuff in those songs.
Well, I mean, the squeaky bass pedal.
Yeah.
That's the legendary one.
The other one is Whole Lotta Love, where he's going way down the side, and then there's a voice under going way down. That was the tape that they screwed up, and they're like, they couldn't get rid of it. So they both reached
and now
for the
people
echo.
are. It's incredible how much of what we love about those albums were stuff that probably frustrated the shit out of them at the time because the limitations of technology and having to mix down to so often, tracking on 4-track. I mean, it's so much of that stuff is what we enjoy about it. And I'm sure at the time it was maddening for them.
But think about how it's 50 years later. How good!
I mean,
you put Led Zeppelin 2 on a good set of studio speakers, and it blows your mind out.
This is one of my little tricks because, again, I am so much a product of and a student of the digital world, just given when I grew up and what I do for a living. But my heroes are mostly, rooted in this era. I mean, Jimmy Page is my number one of all time. David Gilmour, right up there with him, Eric Johnson, and then we get into John Petrucci, and they're obviously more modern players. But in the Axe-Fx or the FM3 or the FM9, the VP4, the AM4, all of them, my favorite trick for introducing a little bit of just kind of inaccuracy, a little bit of they weren't able to do this at the time. Obviously, there was no tap tempo, there was no tempo lock, there was no digital anything when Led Zeppelin 1 and 2 were being made in the recording studio. So I will find out the tempo of a song for an artist if we're dialing in let's say a tremolo, and unless it's an effect like Boulevard of Broken Dreams where it really relies on it being accurate, I'll find the tempo, I'll lock in the tempo, and then the editor or the unit will show you what the millisecond value for that is, and so I'll remember it. Let's say it's 253, and I will then turn off the tempo lock and manually dial in 251 or 255,
just a little off,
so that it's just a little bit off. And it's
Smart.
amazing how much wider the sound
It's
gets,
smart.
even in mono, the appearance of wideness.
Yeah.
And I'll do it with choruses. I'll do it anything that is tempo locked. I'll go and I'll just knock it a little bit into analog world.
Yeah.
And that makes a huge difference as far as just, leveraging the power of these and the power of exactitude, the specificity that we can, the granular detail that we can get down to, and then saying, yeah, that's great, and I'm glad I know that, but let's do it the way that it's always been done in this ecosystem because we can.
Yeah.
And it takes it that last little bit.
Yeah.
And I mean, to your point about just being able to do everything you needed to do to make these sound so good, the tools are there.
Because there are some interesting things you can do. I almost feel like I should find the preset and play it. But there's the tone
Yeah.
bender fuzz has a thing it does, and it
It has
goes
a thing.
it goes psst, it sputters, but it won't
Yep.
do it at the factory setting. You have to go in and change some things inside of it, and it will actually do. I think it's on one of the songs on 3 that's acoustic, and at the very end, I think it might be Gallows Pole. There's a really nasty outro fuzz thing, and you'll
Yeah,
hear it
yeah.
go, and it's great. I managed to get that in,
That pedal's phenomenal.
Yeah, yeah. Dweezil loves this
you
stuff
used
too.
it-
He's geeking out.
that's Dweezil's wheelhouse for sure.
Yeah. I've learned a lot
You
from him.
you used kind of like a fucked up tone bender on um to emulate the keys sound. Right? On one of the later tunes.
Talk about quarters.
No quarter, yeah.
Yeah, I use that, and it sounds terrific for the rhythm part of the guitar. But the keyboard part is
Okay,
not.
maybe it was the part.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just remember there was a really sputtery, just kind of totally jacked up.
When you play the rhythm for that, he's got a tone bender on, and when you stop it, it'll go just like the real ones
Yeah.
do, right? But if you
Yeah.
use a factory setting for that, it doesn't do it. You have to go
No, it's
into
a little
those
cleaner,
advanced
yeah.
settings, and there's a little trick
Yeah.
that you have to do. And if you want to know, fellas, you have to buy the pack and go look for it. So they're little trade secrets that won't stay that way for long. The other thing that we all know about is that with fuzzes, it's really good to set the auto impedance to, instead of auto, go to 90K. And it
Yep.
feels a little more like a fuzz the way it reacts
And
to
make
it.
sure to put it first in line before anything else. Input block straight into the drive.
Absolutely. And, there are a lot of people say, well, it still doesn't feel like a real fuzz. But to me, it does. It reacts the same way when I do that now.
Yeah,
It really-
when you set
I know-
that impedance, it's
I know there's a buffer there, but I'm saying it's not killing it for me.
No.
It's working fine.
no,
You
no,
know?
it works great.
So yeah. Why
No,
don't-
the variable impedance input is badass for sure.
let's maybe pull up the one you last did on Misty Mountain and talk a little bit about harmonies, because this is the other cool thing about the Fractal.
Yeah.
First, when I heard all those harmonies on the Zeppelin thing, I thought this was the greatest original thing I'd ever heard, which it is really cool. And then later I realized these guys have been listening to the Allman Brothers.
I was gonna say, and then you heard the Allman Brothers? Yeah.
It's the same custom scale
As a Georgia
Jessica.
boy,
It's
yeah,
the Allman,
exactly.
and that was, again, they listened
The
to
Allman Brothers was in my blood long before Zeppelin ever hit my radar, but
Yeah.
that's a hazard of living in Georgia.
But I love that because you can hear they loved Little Feat. The band loved Little Feat. It was Jimmy Page's one of his favorite bands.
Yeah,
But a lot, the
you do
custom,
know your Jimmy Page.
yeah,
Wow.
the same scale. Hey, man, when you listen to intently to this stuff and you study it, you kind of learn it. But the scale is the same one that's used in Jessica. It's a custom scale, for that D stuff.
Yeah. The fact that you do include custom scales there to nail these album harmonies. So you
Mhm.
step on that scene and there's nothing dropping out. You're copying the harmony lines alone. Testament to the Aspex's power, to, fractal units in general, but also just your dedication to getting these right. Um, and guys who are, wondering if they should get the pack and how easy this is to get it all working and everything. Very detailed instructions. Load in the presets. Load in what is it? 4 custom scales? Three? I think it's
Yeah,
4.
yeah, and I have a
Um,
video, 6 steps you
yeah,
take
and
to
there's a
load it.
video and there's a PDF and it's super easy. And then
Yeah,
you get the custom cabs as well. If you're a Zeppelin fan or just a fan of playing through great presets, so this is really I ended up sitting down and playing for like 12 hours, literally. I just spent a whole day playing Zeppelin. I did probably like 4 or 5 hours and then came back the next day and kept playing for another 6 or 7 hours. And you just get lost in it because there's so much there. It's
yeah,
great.
yeah. It's a great education too. If you really want to learn your Zeppelin, this is a great tool to have because you sound
Totally.
good doing it. You sound like the thing. In my opinion, you need a good Les Paul and a good Telly, but you can use whatever guitar you want. Like, the guitars will change a little
Yeah.
bit of it. Like, you're not playing the Les Paul I play, but you can still hear it. Kind of a
Well,
thing.
and I should note, people are probably wondering. So anytime that I'm playing a telly in these videos, I'm using this Ernie Ball Music Band Valentine,
Yeah,
James Valentine, my good buddy and killer player from Maroon 5. But the bridge pickup in here is modeled after a late 60s telly
yeah,
bridge pickup.
yeah.
It kind of looks like a bucker because it's got this bigger, cap on it. But the cover, don't let it don't be mistaken. But then the neck is more like kind of a 335 or like a PAF kind of deal. Or the bridge here though is a telly pickup for all intents and purposes. So I
Right.
use that for that. And then for the Les Paul, I actually do have a Les Paul, but I like to keep it a Music Man when I can. But this is the Corey Wong uh, Stingray guitar, and these are also kind of custom wound to sound pretty darn vintage. So I use these for the Paul, and I
Cool.
think it sounds great. So
That's a song that some people don't play right, and you do.
that's
But
a song that
that
I've never seen played right. I
so
think
a
probably
lot of people play a on the da 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 da. They're playing a
that
seventh chord, and it's not. It's a sus chord.
no.
I,
Master
you know.
of seemingly dissonant things as well. And I mean, like Misty Mountain Hop's got that same thing. In the
Oh,
verses, it's just like who would choose to play that and sing that over it, and it totally works.
oh man, I gotta,
Just
I gotta, I gotta take advantage of that to play you that one little part that I. Another example of something I did wrong for years and years. Just real quick.
oh yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah. No, this is pretty cool. So in Misty Jump, I call it. There's a scene. You know what I'm talking about? Coming out of the solo, right? There's this scene after you've done all that and you've done the harmony and it's hanging. And I love this. So it goes. You can hear the room, but I was going, I was going. Nope, it's my bend's a little off today. It might be out of tune, but do you hear the
No, no, I
room?
totally, I
You hear the room in
100% know what
that
you're saying.
sound? I love that.
Well, and it reacts differently depending on how you're playing that part. That little hop bend is the kind of jump in that bend is so key to activating that room.
Yeah,
I mean, it's all part of the sound. He was such a genius at making the parts and the production just completely enmeshed in terms of what they're accomplishing. They're all working toward serving the same goal of just making the song as cool as possible. It's why he's so fascinating to me is that
yeah,
if you get burned out on guitar brain, you can switch to production brain and songwriting brain and learn just as much about those two crafts through listening to these songs as anything else.
it's been a real musical education going through here and going through all these. Literally, I've got all the books, right? All the tab. It's all the good Hal Leonard stuff, and like going, wow, that's what he did there. I had no idea, and he did that there. Wow, really, it's a great musical education, particularly if you're really trying to master rock guitar, because he invented a lot of
Yeah.
vocabulary that everybody else is still regurgitating, and the sounds go.
Especially when it comes to production.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean it's kind of I mean double tracking would be the huge one, obviously. I mean he kind of set the standard there, but also the playing clean under a dirty sound or even tracking acoustic under a really really dirty sound to
yeah,
get punch after you've gotten, the higher gain you go, the more compression there is, the less that sound is articulate. I mean it's crushing, but it's not going to be articulate.
yeah,
And then just mixing in a little bit of acoustic guitar underneath a big metal tone is killer.
yeah.
It's an awesome way to do
Yeah,
things.
it's
And
well
he
well
was the
said.
pioneer of that.
Yeah, and then when you had people like the Beatles and Clapton was playing while my guitar tunes was playing that rotary, it's right. It's kind of in your face and all that. Page said
Yeah.
no. He puts a room sound with this rotary on Good Times, Bad Times, or Black
Yep,
Dog,
yep.
and it just makes it sound like what the hell is going on here? It's fabulous. It's really,
Yeah.
really,
That's
really
another
good.
one from Brit Rock Royalty 1 that people should check out if you're not familiar with the pack already. If you go watch the video of that, excuse me, the Good Times Bad Times lead, probably I don't know, maybe not my number one Page solo of all time, but it'd
It's
be hard
pretty
to kick it
great.
out of the top. Hard to kick it out of the top three. I'm a sucker for Leslie. I'm a sucker for Leslie on lead, and the melody of that, the actual notes in that solo are just killer.
Yeah.
It's one of my all-time favorite solos.
There,
One of
there's
the
a
first ones I ever learned as a kid.
there's a reason that song starts that album off.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
It's
I
like
often,
you hear that
I
and you're
think
like,
often of the fact
yeah.
that, yeah, it's interesting because that's not it's not a song that has, I don't want to say it hasn't stood the test of time. Obviously, it's still around, but it's not one that plays on, the classic rock radio a lot. You get
Say it
Livin'
does.
Lovin' Maid and Heartbreaker, and every once in a while you get your Stairway and Achilles' Last Stand or whatnot. But it's interesting to me because I love that song so much, and it's probably the first Led Zeppelin song a lot of people ever heard. If they didn't hear him on the radio first, they bought Led Zeppelin 1, they dropped the needle on it, and Good Times Bad Times pops out. And I mean, what a hell of a song to start. That was an announcement. That was a kicking down the door moment for sure. I am no longer in the
Yeah.
Yardbirds. This is my thing, and it sounds like this. Bow wow.
You could have done a whole bunch more. We had a limited amount of
I
time to
have a
do
wh-
this.
I have a whole bunch more
Yeah.
sitting on my timeline.
And we may all see
And we
those
may
things at
yet,
some point.
yeah,
Yeah. So that you can hear it. There's a YouTube video I could show you guys that I'm not going to show here where I demo a bunch of the live sounds of this stuff
yeah,
from I think it goes from one all the way to up to present. So you can see me playing this, on a Les Paul or and get a sense of that. Dancing Days is on there. There's a bunch of cool stuff like
yep.
that.
I feel like
Um,
it's been 20 minutes. I mean, we could probably talk about Jimmy Page all day.
well, it's a good point to ask. Is there anything that we should have talked about that we didn't, based on your reactions to this, or the Jimmy Page's technique, or anything like that that
I mean,
comes
I
to
think
mind?
I've kind of said most of my things that I feel like need to be said when his name comes up, pushing back against the sloppiness thing, emphasizing the just genius of his production techniques, and it sounds, you say it out loud and it sounds like, well, obviously, of course, but it's not so obvious that every decision he was making about the playing was also informing the production, and every production decision he was making was informing how the playing was going to react for the next part that was going to be tracked over whatever he had just done, and reading interviews with him and biographies where he's or watching It Might Get Loud, which I highly recommend to anybody.
Yeah.
In addition to becoming Led Zeppelin, there's that great scene where Edge and Jack White have to get up out of their seats when he starts playing a Whole Lot of Love. They're like, "Holy shit! This is Merlin himself has just opened his spell book and is handing out pages." But
That's a great analogy.
but yeah, and there's just he was in his prime, and still is. I mean, God, the remixes of all the albums from a couple years ago are just fantastic as well. But he is such a master of really taking, a bit like a great director on a film would be. They have a singular vision, but they're also able to take these various departments and hold them within their brains so that they coalesce as one cohesive picture. And his ability to create a cohesive sonic picture, I think, is pretty unparalleled. I mean, I'd put Paul McCartney up there as well, just as somebody who, when I feel like those two guys, when they heard the song in their mind, it was fully formed.
Yeah.
And as much experimentation happens in the studio, and as much as playing in a band with different people brings out different things, there's a clarity of vision that I think is audible in every Led Zeppelin track.
Yeah.
And that to me is one of the most special things about digging into those songs. And it's amazing digging into these presets as well, because of that, because you've taken the time and you have the knowledge base and you care. Uh, it's so these presets are so reflective of that vision that Page has, because every part is exactly what it needs to be and it happens exactly when it needs to happen. And that's so important, because there's so many artists, there's so many songs who have great songs and then maybe the production isn't right because they're working with somebody, they're not meshing, there's history's full of kind of those missed opportunities. But man, there's just Jimmy Page is a singular talent in history, in my opinion. So yeah, I think I said everything that needs to be. I'm going to
I
repeat
think
myself, but
I think you've
I think all that we have to do is run the the coup de grace, the piece de resistance, or whatever.
we're getting to that.
The other thing, just as I was saying, is there anything else you want to say about Jimmy Page?
Yeah.
I think you also have to consider when you listen to these albums and how cohesive they are and how well produced they are and just how much ass they kick. And they were recorded and mixed and mastered all over the world at so many different studios, not just song to song, part to part within the same song.
Yeah, it's
Studios
amazing.
in London, studios in Los Angeles,
New York.
completely opposite ends of New York, the opposite ends of
Oh,
the
we'll
world.
be in Nashville. Can I get in the
Within
studio for
one,
a day?
can I
Like,
get in the studio to? I mean, the Heartbreaker solo is obviously like the famous example of that because it's completely different, than the rest of the entire song, and it sounds awesome. And now I think that's the kind of thing that the modernization and the digitalization of all this, I have a feeling that somebody would try to use AI to cancel out that room difference and conform the new part to
yeah,
sound like the. And it's just no, don't. That's
that's right.
that's what's awesome about it.
Yeah.
But just the fact that these songs were constructed in so many cases because of their touring schedule, uh, so piecemeal is incredible because they don't sound like it
Yeah.
at all. These are some of the most sonically pleasing and just overwhelmingly, I mean, what is the word? Just in your face is the, brash and authoritative. I mean, I run out of thesaurus words for them. Um, but man, if I were recording records all over the world and trying to fit them onto one, it wouldn't sound like this.
Well, that's a real
So
testament
Jimmy
again.
Page,
His vision, right? His vision.
clarity of vision.
He
Yeah,
knew
clarity of
what he
vision.
wanted, and Eddie,
Yeah.
and then you'll hear different things. For example, and you can see it in the clip we're about to do as well. Um, Four is an album that's not as bright as the other albums.
No. Very,
It's
very different.
you know, and they mixed some of it at Sunset. I think they didn't like some of it. They had to remix it. But Andy Johns did a lot of these things. Glenn Johns' brother at that point on
Yep.
that album, and one of his favorite tricks is over a mix bus to add at the end of it around 10 or 12K, about 2 to 3 dB to give it some air. But
Hmm.
when I listen to, kind of like how Dark Side of the Moon isn't trebly, it's not,
No,
it's
it's
smooth.
it's
And
very demure.
right, but it's like a smooth, like a Fairchild, Mike Smooth. But that's what I noticed, and it was interesting because I had to dial that stuff in. You still got 2K in
Yeah.
there. Don't get me wrong. Levee Breaks. You listen to Levee Breaks loud with that snare in your ear, and you might damage your hearing over
Yeah,
time.
exactly.
It's tough, but on Stairway you'll hear like the guitars are very muted, then they get a little brighter, and then they get a
Well,
little
that's the whole
brighter
thing.
for the two. Yeah, yeah,
Going back to why I could never get tired of that song and why I would choose it is, I mean, everybody knows that, it ramps up dramatically in tempo. If you play, it's the boiling the frog in the water thing. If you don't realize it as you're listening to it, but if you listen to the beginning of Stairway and then you cut to the end, it's dramatically quicker. It's also much brighter. It's the whole thing. It's such a perfect encapsulation of what that band and Page, since that's who we're talking about, wanted to say with their music.
yeah,
That I mean, it's a perfect song. It's a perfect. I
yeah.
never get tired of it.
Yeah, and there's a reason it was like the number one song played for forever. I mean, it's, and they would
Yeah.
stop what they were doing because, it wasn't the 3 minute format. Anyway,
Yeah,
with
we've
that,
talked so much about Jimmy Page. I don't want to, discount the fact that he also had the enormous good fortune of happening into playing with the three most perfect other players
yeah.
and singer he possibly could have asked for. I mean, Led Zeppelin would not have been Led Zeppelin without John Paul Jones and John Bonham and obviously Robert Plant
I,
too. But
I
We love you. Best band ever.
I agree 1,000%. Yeah,
it's yeah,
kind of like Charlie Watts played off of what Keith did, right?
yep,
This was very much the case with these guys, and Page would go in the studio with just the two of them to kind of work out stuff. And I love the way he would do stops in songs, and
yep.
brilliant stuff that keeps your attention and keeps you constantly surprised and on your toes. They'd add a beat out of nowhere, and
Oh,
now
there's hugely Prague sentimentalities before Prague was even a
yeah,
thing. I mean, Out on the Tiles is like odd time signatures and skipping beats and yeah, all over the place. It's funny you mentioned Charlie Watts. Of course, so much of this Zeppelin stuff was recorded using the Rolling Stones mobile recording studio. So
yeah, yeah,
there's a nice little tie in there.
yeah, yeah. Well,
Well,
let's take a listen to this swan song thing, and and
it's been a pleasure, my friend.
yeah, man, it's been really, really wonderful. We're going to let this one play us out. But if you guys are interested in the free presets from this, as Cooper said earlier, you go to the G66 website and you can download what you're about to hear, which is kind of cool. And I just appreciate you taking the time to do this. I could think of nobody
Oh my
better to do
gosh,
this,
I
so it was fun.
appreciate you
Yeah.
entrusting me with it.
Well, we got a chance to nerd out a little bit, and that's always fun for us gear guys.